Hello and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 170 at scavengerlife.com. And today we are listening to all the voicemail question and comments that you have called in. And the number is 540-407-8486.
And we just thought we would do this as an experiment. We love when people email us as questions, but we thought it'd be cool if we could all hear the people actually ask its question itself. It feels a little more personal. We like it.
It makes it more real.
Yeah. So let's get to the first call.
Hi, Ryan J. This is M. Thrilled to hear my message to you on the last podcast. I have a question for you. I sell a lot of vintage things. Lots of times the tagged size does not jive with what we would think of as a standard modern size. I mean, it could be off by several inches. So how do you list that? Do you list what it says on the tag? And I'm thinking about the keywords in the titles. And I've got a limited amount of space. I want to draw in the right people. Don't know what to do. It's always a dilemma. Your advice is much appreciated. Bye.
Okay, we had this problem recently with the buyer.
I'm not sure if we can be experts on this, but we had an item that said XL, but because it was older, it fit more like a large. And what we have done in the past is we actually put the actual size that it fits like in the title.
Like large, but not extra large.
Then in the description, we'll say in a paragraph, it says XL, but it fits like a large. We put its measurements, and we also take a picture of the tag. And we sent this to a woman, and she got it, and she actually left us
neutral. It was neutral.
It's
feedback.
neutral feedback. And when we told her, but we had it in the description, she was unsatisfied because she said she doesn't read that stuff. She just goes by the title. And eBay agreed with her, so we couldn't
I couldn't get it removed, unfortunately. But so something you can do, and what I have been doing lately is I'll put both. Like what I should have done for that one is large/extra large. But if it's real vintage, like from the 50s, it might be like size 14 and it's tiny. So for things like that are super old, I don't put size 14. I put small, extra small. And then, if they're buying true vintage, like 1950s dress or whatever, they really have to go by the measurements. So that's not a great answer because, someone will say, this said size 14.
Well, and this came up on the blog about a week ago. So what Brian said was he actually puts it in the item specifics.
Item specifics, okay.
He'll make an item, like eBay actually told him to do this, where he makes a special item specific where he can say, fits like a large. XL fits like a large.
This.
And then in the description, we now also are doing this too, where we'll actually put it in bold.
Yeah, you really got to make it bold. Fits
like a large. And that way, even if someone doesn't read that stuff, supposedly eBay will then back you up.
If it's in the item specifics. Right. So the best thing you can do is put it in item specifics. Fits like this. So that's our best answer. Next.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, love listening to you guys every single week. I had a question for you, Ryan. You were talking the other day about calling up eBay and getting them to remove negative feedback. I'm curious what that process is like, exactly what points you're using to push forward, and it seems like you're calling back several times in order to find the right customer service representative to respond to your needs. Just curious if you can elaborate. Thanks, Eva.
Okay, this ties in with exactly what we were just talking about.
And this is all you, because I do not call eBay, because I think I would get too angry with people if I don't get what I want. So.
It's so interesting that you say that, because there are times where I do get mad, but I'm just I literally hang up and call again. So my thing is, if I really feel like I'm justified, I will call and just try and see if I get a customer service representative that will be like, you know what, you're right. For that last one that we just talked about, where it said, XL fits like large. I called twice and could not get it removed. It's a neutral feedback and it's a defect. I called twice. I can't get it removed. I'm going to this week when Jay's not in the apartment. We're in New York. I'm going to call again. I talked to one service representative who did not have the authority to remove it. And he said, you know what? That's kind of a gray area. I think that you might be able to get it removed. They said no. If I get the right person, I think I can get it removed.
And some people say that you need to call during American business hours so you get an American, but
I've not found that to be true.
But I mean, Orion has gotten things removed, whether they're in the Philippines or wherever they're from, or in America. I don't think it has to do with where they are in the world. It's just if you happen to get a rep who feels empowered or feels like you've convinced them, and I've heard that you talk to them where what seems to be important is to be very calm and not to tell a long rambling story, to have it's your problem very clear and concise.
Like for this one, first of all, you do not get mad at the reps. You stay calm and you stay courteous. That is the number one key. You're like, hi, yep, I'm having a great day. Hoping you can help me with this thing. You're not a crazy person. You're a professional business person. And what you do is you state your case. This person gave me a neutral. I don't think it's justified. They said in their last message to me they did not read the description. So that's what I'm going on for this next one. Other ones, have been like, I offered a refund. I told them I would take it back. They never wanted the refund. I think you should remove this feedback. You state your case. And it's 50-50. They might remove it. They might not. And if you still think you're justified, I've tried twice for this neutral. I'm going to try again. I think I'm justified.
And, it just seems like this is what kind of clogs up the eBay customer service if other people are doing this too. If you're having to call multiple times, I'm surprised they don't leave notes. And then if you call back, they're like, ma'am, we've already told you. That case
they
is closed.
They don't do it.
And they don't do it.
I'm calling back 3 times.
I'm surprised because I feel like most companies would have that.
A record.
Yeah. But
so that's my advice. Stay calm, be courteous, state your case succinctly.
And I think also too, we do this. If we feel like it's a mistake, it's something we made, and we're justified in getting a defect or negative or
then
whatever,
I'm not going to bother.
We just eat it. We don't try to fool them or...
Yeah, there's nothing...
It's. I think that's important too, is that we aren't calling them with unreasonable...
Right. I'm trying
demands.
To be reasonable and state my case and be like, here's the deal.
Yep.
We got a negative feedback recently from some guy in another country who just said the item wasn't clean. There's no way for me to argue that. There's nothing I can say except, he is welcome to return it. They're not going to remove that feedback, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, the next question is, we got an email from somebody. It's Mark, and it's Massachusetts. He sold a radio to someone in Australia.
Okay.
And he tells a long story, but I'll kind of
sum it up.
And then when he took it out of storage to send it, he tested it and realized that the battery had died. So his question was, what does he do? What do you do? And so what would you do?
The battery had died. So it's not a removable battery. It's like if you could replace the battery.
So he says that he could buy a battery on eBay and replace it, but then that would take, who knows, a week or two. So does he write the buyer and say, please wait and I'll mail it to you? Does he say, I can send it to you but give you a discount?
What do you think he should do?
Well, I said give the buyer those choices.
Give them the choices.
Just and I think that's true for anything. It's just being transparent. And most buyers, 99.9% of them, will be so happy that you're just giving them choices.
Yeah.
Like, this is what happened. What do you want to do?
Right.
Or I can give you a full refund right now, and you can find another one online.
Right.
And so that's what I think he's doing.
Okay, good. I think that's a good answer. Just give them the choices.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Do you want, money back? Do you want me to buy you another battery and we can wait a week?
And, I find when I hear people say their stores got suspended or, eBay canceled their stores, it's with things like this starts happening and the sellers aren't open. It's with the buyer.
They're not
where instead
honest.
they just don't.
They just send it anyway.
Or they either send it or they don't send it, and it takes a long time and there's no communication.
Yeah.
It's all about communication.
It's all about it's like when people don't pay for things, but they tell us, "Look, I got to wait a week. I'm waiting for my check to clear."
No problem.
No problem. If I don't hear from you a week, I'm opening up a case, I'm sending you messages. It's just tell me.
Yep.
Same thing with customers.
Okay, next question.
Next call.
Hey guys, this is SJ Biker on eBay. I have a quick question in regards to the global shipping program. The other day I was contacted by a guy from Australia who wanted to buy a bicycle frame set that I have on eBay. And I thought about how much it was going to cost, and he was okay with actually paying for it, but to ship it in the United States, it would cost from where I'm located to the East Coast roughly about $70 to $100. So I could only imagine it would be double that going to Australia. So that made me wonder, like, if it was even worth doing it. But more importantly, I just want to know how you guys go about determining what you will put in the global shipping program. Are there some things that you just will put for local pickup, or just if you can talk about how you determine what will ship globally and what will not. So yeah, if you guys can talk about that, that'd be great. Love the podcast. Keep up the good work, and look forward to hearing my answer. Thanks.
Cool. So this is from SJ Biker,
who comments quite frequently on the blog. Yes, so that is a good question. Mostly what I determine for local pickup is stuff that I cannot physically ship myself.
Right. When it gets to be where it's FedEx or it's USPS or
UPS,
they all have a size,
a limit,
a ceiling for when they won't accept it anymore, and that's basically what we use.
Yeah. And I don't ship freight. I mean, if someone wants to freight up a couch or whatever, they're welcome to have someone, figure that out for them, and then I'll give it to them. But mostly everything under that, I'll ship global shipping if it's not oversized.
But, we've posted videos where we pack really weird sized items. I mean, we aren't afraid as long as it fits in those boxes,
Yeah, Jay bought a baby carriage, a baby stroller, or if you're in the UK, it's called a pram, the other day, and it's a weird shape, and it's big, and it's heavy, and I'm going to ship it. Like, if I can find some cardboard to wrap around it, I'm shipping it.
So I think the question is more for each of us. What are you willing to ship? Because that's a thing. Like, everyone loves to ship a tie or like a hat.
So
throw
easy.
Throw it in a poly mailer. And some people, their business is like it's a poly mailer business only. And I get that.
That's fine. It's easy.
But those of us who enjoy selling lots of weird stuff, and and you can make good amount of money on these items, as long as you're willing to ship those things.
I mean, you can ship a bike frame if you take it apart. Obviously you ship bike frames. If the person in Australia is willing to pay the price it costs to ship a bike frame, it's up to them. They want to pay the price, you'll ship it to them.
And
that's it.
And I think in your question, I hear that you're kind of like hesitating because it's going to cost a lot to ship, but ultimately that's not our choice.
Problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's if the buyer wants this item and he or she is willing to pay $300 to have something shipped. I mean, so
let
what?
them pay that price.
That's cool. I mean, you have to remember, like, in the country they're in, the thing that you have might be really rare.
They can't get it. That's why they're willing to look online. Right. So, you might never pay $300 to have something shipped. This dude in Australia who's whatever got some money, he is.
Yep.
He might be.
Cool.
Okay, next call.
Hey, what's up, guys? You guys do a pimp job every week. I try to catch you. My thing is, you always talk about names of cups or something on the last one, but it doesn't show a picture long enough. So I usually watch it on my phone or even on my laptop. So maybe if you could, like when you say, oh, this is XX brand, maybe you could show a picture of it a little longer, and then that way we get an idea. Or I guess maybe it's on the blog, but I don't roll to the blog. So cool. Peace out.
So this guy is talking about the videos that we've started
Making
to make each week are
what sold
what sold videos, and he's asking is that we talk about these items, but we don't always show or talk about the brand. And one reason is because a lot of stuff we sell is pre-brand. I mean,
it doesn't have a brand.
It's 20, 30 plus years old when there weren't really brands on some items.
I showed some Copeland Spode cups. I think that's what he's talking about, and I did show the marking.
Right.
So anytime I'm like, this is a Pendleton, I try to show the label.
Yeah. So,
maybe I skip it a couple times, so I'll try to make sure to show any markings.
And plus, I think too, we've been doing this a while, so maybe we know what Copeland Spode is.
Yeah.
But I do remember when we didn't know anything, and someone would say Copeland Spode, and I wouldn't understand.
You're like, what? What's that?
Anything about that. But I think that's the thing. If you're new and you're trying to get into this kind of the weird vintage stuff, it is about writing names down and doing its research.
Google it.
Spend half an hour and just read about Copeland Spode. And then,
you see
stuff.
what Copeland Spode sells for the most.
But also I think that's why we can find and sell a lot of the items we do is because they aren't obvious items. They don't have a name brand. It's just more the quality and it's just got
the
an
look.
Essence.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an essence.
So I will try harder to show brands. Thanks for that suggestion.
Okay, I have a question from email. This is a typical question we get from people that are brand new. They come across our podcast and they send a flurry of emails. And I get it. One answer is just if they take time to listen to some of the podcasts, these things will be answered.
The answers
are
there.
This is a very specific question that Linda asks. And she's saying, okay, so she puts its make offer on items, and then she feels it's rejecting a lot of the offers, and it makes her feel bad. Like, isn't that going to make people angry that she's rejecting people's offers?
Yeah.
And I totally get that. When you're new, it feels very personal and like you're trying to be very sensitive to people that are contacting you. And
you want to make a sale too,
And all we can say is think like a business person. This is a business deal. It's unemotional.
Yeah.
If you have an item up for $30 and they offer you like $10, I have no problem saying reject.
Reject or counter.
Right.
Say, okay, they're trying to see how low you'll go. You're like, okay, I'll take 25.
Right.
And if they don't want to pay 25, who cares?
Right.
You got to make a profit.
Right. So I think that's the thing. As someone new, if you're trying to do it the way we do it, where you list it, forget it, you put a high price that you've researched, so it's a real price, and then you put make offer.
Yeah.
You just then, as offers come in, you just get a feel for, do you want to counter, do you want to reject, or you might want to accept because it's a slow day.
Yes, sometimes, I'll get a half price off or something.
Right.
I'll take it.
That's why we love the make offer, because it really just depends on the mood we're in.
And the day we're having.
Right.
If we're selling stuff all day long, no problem, and someone gives me a low offer, I'm going to counter, or I'm going to reject it.
It's just like if you were in a flea market and maybe if you have a table of stuff in front of you and people walk by and they're interested and they give you offers and you can get a sense of, and honestly, sometimes I will accept offers based on how the offer is made. Sometimes people send a bit of a note and I'm kind of a sucker for that, because I'm the kind of guy where I like it if someone shows appreciation for an item and I'm like, oh, okay, they'll get it. I'll give them a deal because it's going to go to a nice home.
Right.
I'm that kind of guy,
You're a sucker.
Rather than the guys who send in an offer and they're like, this is
horrible.
This is pretty ratty. I can't believe you're asking that much. I'll give you $10 and you'll be lucky. I decline.
Decline.
Okay, next.
Hi, guys. Thanks for all your videos and help. Really appreciate it. I'm a part-time eBay scavenger. I'm thinking of full-time. Here's my question. Let's say the two of you decide to go to the world's longest yard sale. Can you deduct all your expenses, food, lodging, gas, what you buy or maybe you won't buy, from your taxes at the end of the year for what really amounts to a fun trip? Just curious if you can do that or not. Thanks.
Yay! Yes, you can.
Yes, so here's the thing. You can go to the world's longest yard sale, but if you're not reselling your items, that is just a fun trip. But that is our business. You know, it's not like we'd be deducting those expenses if we were just on vacation and we weren't resellers. That is my business. I'm there to buy stuff to resell it.
And all of us just happen to really enjoy our work. So, you know, I mean, it's funny it's question he asked because it's totally true. You just assume if it's for work, it's got to be boring and you hate it and you're just like depressed. And so that's when you're allowed to write things off. Just because you enjoy it doesn't mean it's not business.
Tax deductible.
Right.
So here's the thing. Number one, as we always say, you need to get an accountant. Number two, a great resource for figuring out what you can deduct and how you can deduct it is IRS website and Google. Googling to find the stuff on the IRS website. Yes, you can deduct gas and or mileage.
And food too, you can do 50% of the food as long as those meals are done when you're either on the road buying or if you're talking about business.
Right.
And then also hotels as well.
A hotel is a travel expense. If you had to go to a yard sale far away and you stayed in a hotel, that's a deduction.
Yep.
So yes, all those travel expenses.
And this is a very good question too, because obviously he's thinking like a real business person, because as you start doing this full time, it's all about the expenses.
Yeah, you have to expense stuff.
Because those of us that are full-time scavengers, I mean, there's an expense to driving around and buying things. I mean,
mileage.
If you don't expense this stuff, I mean, your taxes are off the charts. You got to think like Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney. Okay, that's a good advice.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, thanks for everything you guys do. Okay, well, here's my question. I've started to get a tremendous amount of sales, and so I've had a couple items that people have said that are damaged during shipping, and I haven't been following through with the insurance. Can you talk about the insurance that you get when you ship something priority? So in other words, if I have to refund somebody money, should I be having them return that item back to me so I do an insurance claim, or I guess it matters about Anyway, can you guys talk about that a little bit? Sorry for my confusion. Thank you.
Okay, couple things. If multiple items are getting damaged, you need to figure out your shipping better. Because if items are frequently getting damaged, you're shipping them improperly. Number two.
Wow, you're bringing the hammer on this guy.
I mean...
But it is true. If people are complaining, I mean, this might happen once a year to us if we're unlucky.
Yeah. So the other thing too is your customer writes you an eBay message and they say, this mug you sent me was completely broken. The next thing you say is, I'm so sorry, please send me a photograph so I can do an insurance claim. So if you sent it priority, you should have up to $100 in insurance because you're an eBay seller. You refund your customer because you don't want them to be mad. You take the picture and the message they sent you. You can take a screenshot of that and you can upload the photo to the USPS website and you make a claim. And that's how you do an insurance claim. You just Google where to do a USPS insurance claim.
And we always try to be apologetic and make sure it's not a super big hassle for the buyer.
Right. You don't want to hassle your buyer, but you should do an insurance claim.
Don't you give them a refund and then wait for a refund from the post office?
It depends on what it is. Like, it is a weird timing because you don't want your customer to wait like 15 days to get a refund. Like, I think you should refund your customer first. unless you think it's like they're trying to scam you or something, which generally they're not.
Right.
If they can send you a photo, that's going to help your claim at USPS. People are going to, they're going to see that and be like, yep, it's broken.
Yeah, but that's normally what we do is that we give them a refund out of our pocket, and then, it takes about, 2 weeks or so for a refund to come through.
Yeah.
And then we also use a
Ship Saver. So here's the thing. USPS, unless you offered free shipping, they're generally not going to cover the price of shipping it. So the great thing is for Ship Saver, which is a third-party app that you can use through eBay, you have insured it for the price of shipping. So, depending on which insurance you use, you could be reimbursed for the price of shipping.
And we normally do that on bigger
higher
or more expensive items.
Above $100.
Items that cost a lot to a ship. So,
Exactly.
It's like a big lamp. So if that lamp breaks, we would get covered for everything.
For the shipping price, which could be expensive.
The buyer's made whole, we're made whole.
Exactly.
And Ship Saver is great because, we use them all the time, and I think a lot of people do. So, they're making a lot of money on items that don't have
problems.
It's just like any kind of insurance.
But again, if you've had frequent problems with things breaking, just really make sure you're packing things well, because stuff should not be breaking frequently. That's you just need to avoid that.
Or the other thing was when we first started to sell, we often sold items that maybe weren't in the best shape. So people would get them and they would think they were broken, like had holes in them, or the electronics weren't working right. So just make sure you're sending quality as well.
Okay, next voicemail.
Hi, it's Mindy with Habersham Sales. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I haven't heard you speak about it, but when you have eBay return an item with their label for return shipping, that package is not insured, nor you cannot file a claim about it. I had sold a brand new cappuccino maker with a glass pot, and they said that it didn't taste right whenever they made something out of it. They didn't think it was new. And whenever I received it back, the lip of the glass pot was broken off. So I was going to file a claim because obviously it must have been damaged in shipping. But whenever you try to file a claim, it states that you cannot file a claim for that package with that tracking number. So just a heads up about having eBay send you a label. I enjoy your show. Have a great day. Bye.
So here's an interesting thing. You can't claim insurance, but since the buyer did not package it as well as you did, I wonder if you can call eBay and make sure you can take money off, because now it's broken and, unsellable. So I wonder if you called eBay what the solution would be to be like, I'll give you some refund, but this cannot be used. Number two, because you sold it to them new, they used it, didn't like it, and now they're sending it back to you used. So it's not new in box and they're returning it. So those are two issues.
But it's interesting. She brings up a good point that I had never really thought about. The buyer who mails things back, there might not be shipping on it if they haven't put it on there. Insurance, sorry.
Yeah.
So,
right. So, I mean, it's just the eBay return label and there's no option to put insurance.
And, we've never had a problem with that. So that's an interesting conundrum.
It's a very good question. I would love to hear in the comments if anyone has experience calling eBay and dealing with eBay and saying, this has been used, et cetera, and they're returning it and it's not new anymore. Do I have to refund them?
By the way, I love her accent.
She has a great accent.
It's a deep South accent.
That's right. She's in Georgia, so.
Georgia accent.
Okay, another call.
Hey, this is Melanie Sorrentino. Sometimes my comments come up under Anarchist Kitchen. My question has to do with inventory, sourcing inventory. Now, I understand that you guys have price points to purchase for this amount and sell for this amount. And that's kind of like whatever, because, you know, like some thrift stores are super expensive, whereas other parts of the country it's totally different. So that's not like the main part of my question. The main part of my question is like the strategy for maintaining inventory, like the flow of inventory coming into your life. So I've been thinking of a strategy for us to do, but I wanted to hear what you guys do now, and if you've had strategies before that didn't work, like things you were like, oh, if we do this and this will kind of build, and it didn't kind of pan out the way it seemed in your head. So just to be clear on this, so what I'm asking is, when you, like, how often you go out sourcing? Like, how often do you go out to source specifically, like you're leaving your house specifically to source versus like you're out and about anyway, and so then you just kind of happen to, you know, like sourcing is like the secondary reason why you're going. So I'm curious, like, how often do you go out sourcing? And then the other question is, do you just try to grab it all? You know what I mean? Like you see like a shitload of stuff and you're like, I'm taking it because it's good. It's like it fits the bill. Or do you kind of like cap off, like, all right, we can only knock out so many items, you know, within a certain amount of time. So I'm just going to get manageable amounts of stuff. Or another way to say it is like the reverse side, which is you're not finding a lot of stuff maybe a particular week. So you have like this goal. It's like, okay, we're going to keep looking, you know, we're going to go to new places until we get X amount of stuff, because X amount of stuff is what is like the minimum we need in order to post, you know, to hit our goals or whatever. That's the question. And the thank you is I am fanatical about Mr. Money Mustache. Like that stuff is like the greatest thing ever, and I feel like my mind is blown. And yeah, thank you again.
I love her because she's from Anarchist
Kitchen.
Yeah.
So my first reaction at hearing these multiple questions is you're overthinking this. This is not need to be overthunk and strategize and whatever. You need to go buy stuff and you need to go list it.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, I've read her blog and I think I've heard her say that, you know, they have that issue that I think a lot of us have at first, where you go and there's just everything.
Yeah.
And you don't know what, you know, you get all the clothes, you get all the shoes, you get all the kitchenware, you get everything, you can, and then it's a huge pile, and then it seems overwhelming, and because it's overwhelming, you end up not listing as much. I mean, I get all that stuff. But I think, like Ryan said, is what you have to do is start trusting your gut and getting things that are interesting to you. Don't get the polo shirts just because you think they're going to sell. Only get them if you think they're interesting.
Right.
Because if they aren't interesting, they're just going to sit on your floor because you hate them. You know? But if you love them, you'll say, oh, I want to pick them up. I want to touch them. I want to research it. You know?
Right.
I want to get this out there because I'm going to make it's money on it.
Yeah, I mean, we started out with the most junky crap you can possibly imagine. Because we, you know, were inexperienced and we were like, it's vintage, it's funky,
and
it's
we sold
cool.
everything $9.99.
Yeah, we sold it for nothing.
Yeah.
But as time passes, a week, a month, a year, you're going to be like, oh, that thing that I bought, they returned it. They hated it. I will never buy that again. I
mean, and also, like we say, the unglamorous part of running an eBay store is a listing, and that teaches you a lot. Like, you know, I've talked about it the past month. You know, I spent 2 weeks listing men's dress shirts that we had let pile up because they were almost
cheap.
They were almost free, and we were like, we'll make a bunch of cash. I finally sat there and I just like, man, for 2 weeks of my life that I'll never get back, I listed these things. They actually aren't worth a whole lot. And so, you know what? That taught me I'm never going to get men's dress shirts ever again.
We're not losing money. We're making money on them. That's not a problem. But we're just not going to do it anymore.
But I had to make myself actually list it. So now I hate myself so much that I won't ever do that again.
That's the strategy.
I think the other question is like, Are we going out every day specifically to scavenge, or is it just kind of we're on I think 90% of the time we're just out and about. We're like going to the grocery store, let's hit the thrift stores
on the way. We happen to have 2 great thrift stores in our town, so when we're going to our rental house to go pick up eBay stuff or do stuff over there, we'll stop at this one thrift store. However, I mean, there are times where we specifically are like, let's go to this auction because it's happening today.
Probably once a week, there's something where we're like, we got to go to
the flea market.
Auction. It is on our calendar. Right. Yeah, it's a Saturday. We've got to go to the flea market.
Or it's summertime and, it's Memorial Day weekend and there's a million yard sales. Yeah, we're scheduling that. Let's go do yard sales.
Or what happens is we've been listing a lot and it seems like we can't get our day going.
Let's just go.
Ryan and I look at each other with pained looks and we're like, let's just go scavenge.
We'll just go to the thrift store.
And we'll hit thrift stores in a part of our county we haven't been to in a while. And it's just, it becomes a fun day.
Right. So I wouldn't overthink it. I mean, go out, get some inventory, schedule a day. If you don't have any inventory, go spend the day getting stuff. I mean, you're going to have more stuff than you know what to do with, like, very quickly.
Yeah.
So just work on it.
But especially if you're new and if your store is relatively small, if you aren't spending 20 hours a week on listing eBay, then you're not really trying to build a full-time store. You're still going to be very much of like a hobbyist part-time.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine if that's what your thing is. But if you're scavenging like a full-time, but you're not a listing like a full-time eBayer, then that's when
you become
the hoarding begins.
Yep, exactly.
Cool. Okay, I have a email. I guess it's a question. I'm sure everyone's going to have a different answer for this lady. They went to a yard sale, and she bought a sweater, and they brought it home, and she found money in a sweater. And she asked me, should I return it?
Right. This is at a yard sale, she said?
Yep, a yard sale. And so I was like, whatever. And then she wrote back to me and said, but the kicker is it was $1,500.
Yeah, it wasn't just like $5.
Yeah, I was like, $5,
just keep it. $1,500, it's
a lot of money.
That's like basically someone was going to go pay their rent and they put a sweater in a yard sale instead.
And like, her husband's like, you snooze, you lose, you gotta keep it. And that's a tough one because, $1,500 is...
Especially at a yard sale. Not at a thrift store, not at an estate sale.
But like where you actually know the person that sold it. And so,
Yep.
It's whatever you can sleep at night with, really.
That's Jay's answer. If you feel guilty and would feel bad for the rest of your life because you did not give the money back, you should absolutely return that. What if they are so grateful they're like, take half?
Right.
They might be.
Even if not. Honestly, for me, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, and I would give the money back. I wouldn't want any money. I'd just be like, thanks for the sweater. This is your money. This could be it's mortgage.
Because imagine if you had a yard sale, and, I mean, that would suck.
Right.
Imagine the Good Samaritan. It's like finding a wallet on the ground full of cash.
Right.
With their ID and their phone number in it.
Exactly.
What are you going to do? Are you going to take the cash? Or are you going to give them their wallet back?
And it's that whole karma thing. When we were in Boston 6 months ago, I left my iPad in a bathroom stall.
In the airport.
And we got on the subway and we were like, oh, shit.
We left our iPad
But
in the airport.
But you know what? I had a really good feeling it was going to get returned. And someone did turn it in and I got it back. So.
We got it back.
So it's good karma,
Yeah, so it's one of those things where that person in the bathroom stall could have totally brought it home. Yeah. Did not care. And they didn't. They gave it to customer service.
Yep.
Okay, next question.
Hi, this is Jen from West Virginia. And I had a fun question. What is the weirdest thing you've ever sold? For me, it was something I actually found in my garage. It was from probably the 1840s or 1850s. It was a piece of paper where different schoolgirls had cut off a lock of their hair and had sewn it to this piece of paper. And unfortunately, I put this up for auction back in June of 1999 when eBay had the big crash, and it only sold for $90. But it definitely was the most unique thing I ever sold. Locks of hair from about 30 girls. So how about you? Thanks. Bye.
That is super creepy.
It's kind of cool. I know. I wonder if that was like something that people did back in the old days.
I mean, the thing that was the weirdest that we sold was equally as creepy, and it was photographs of dead babies.
Yep.
Like deceased children from the 1950s.
Yeah,
where
but you have to see it in context. So there's a thing, if you type in photograph dead baby on eBay, there's a lot of them, because what would happen would be, back in the old days, someone would have a child, something would happen, the baby would die. It was only alive for a week or a month,
it was young.
And they wanted to have a
memory of it.
Because they hadn't taken a picture when the baby was alive, and they wanted to have a picture of this baby that had died. And,
right.
I get it. It's totally normal, but people collect those.
Now, I will say, we sold it with a bunch of other photos. It was like a handful of family portrait things, and that happened to be in there. It wasn't like we were just like, dead baby photo.
I'm sure there are people who are into the macabre.
Yes.
The other weird thing, I guess again, I'm always like, it's all a relative thing if it's weird or not. We had like an old West Virginia, like a respirator, a thing that
for coal miners
would use. And so it had a big gas mask, and it was attached to like this backpack that you could put air tanks on.
Right.
And we had a really high price on it. We got an email from a guy in California that said, I'll pay you full price for it, but I just want the big gas mask. It was like one of those big, huge...
It had like a plate glass front and like it was like your full face mask.
And we were like, sure,
what the hell?
And honestly, what I bet he was using it for was to make like a bong. You'd probably put the face mask on, and you would attach the hose to. He probably made some bong thing, and you'd smoke pot out of it, and then you would just get the full.
Although what he said was he was really into Slipknot, and somehow that band had something to do with this mask, and I'm sure there's someone out there that understands that. But
Slipknot,
like,
they all wear these masks.
These weird masks. So we were like, whatever, dude. Cool. We'll sell it to you for full price. That is a weird sale. So.
Hello, guys. This is a wonderful thing you're doing. I'm calling because after listening to you about some artwork, I've been watching carefully to pick up some artwork, which I know absolutely anything about, but because it looks beautiful, I have purchased a couple pieces. And my question is on taking pictures with items with glass. I can't seem to figure out how to get the lines or the shading out of the glass, no matter where I put it or how I put it. There's always some type of shading in there. If you could, I would love to hear what you do or how you do it. Okay, bye. Sherry from Florida.
She's so cute.
This is a great question.
Yeah, you have an answer for it too, which I didn't even think about.
So again, we don't take pictures with a light or with lights, so I'm not sure if this changes it for the two of us, but what I do is you just have to hold the artwork in an angle where there's no light shining on it. So normally, I actually put the piece of artwork on the ground.
On the floor.
Right.
Yeah, and if you have natural light coming in, not an overhead light, you should not have any weird light on it. Like, I've seen you take pictures of things where I didn't even remember there was glass on it.
Right.
Because there's no reflections, and it's because it's on the floor.
And so that might be different for someone that has, like, a lighting on stands.
Yeah.
Because how do you get the angle to where you don't see that light? So maybe for that individual picture, if you turn off the lights and put it on the floor and take a picture of it that way.
Yeah, I think that's the best way. Or, you know, if the glare or the thing isn't too bad, you could do it that way. But I've tried to take video of artwork that we've sold in my What Sold video, and it's standing upright, and I'm like, you can't even see the artwork because all you see is me and the window behind me.
I mean, and something else that, you know, I've struggled with is, you know, when you have an item and it's got little tiny, like it's got an imprint on it or a label on it, but it's real small, especially if it's like a spoon. I actually have a magnifying glass.
Yes.
So I have a system to where how I like put the spoon down and then hold a magnifying glass and then put the camera right up to it. And you really just have to, it's work to get that angle to where it's all clear. And then the photo looks great. And I just feel like those are the photos that really get you the good prices because you're really showing
the details.
Collectors really care about that stuff.
Those signatures, the marks.
And the marks.
And a lot of times with marks on silver or pottery or whatever, you can date it based on the type of mark it is. So it's important for people to see those marks or a signature or whatever to be able to say, this is how old it is really, you know?
Hey, Jay and Ryan, Dan Matson here, Uncle Dan's Market on eBay and Amazon. Congratulations on 10 years together. That's pretty cool. Hey, I got a question. I sell on eBay and Amazon, but on the eBay side of things, sometimes I'll sell a product that's worth maybe $200 or $300, and when I go to ship it, I'm shipping USPS priority mail usually. There's $50 of insurance included. And sometimes for a $300 item or so, I will go ahead and spend a few dollars, maybe $4 or $5 to buy extra insurance because I don't want it to get lost and then have a problem. But I'm paying that out of my pocket, so I'm wondering how you guys handle that. Is there a way to set up ahead of time in the listing so that the buyer would have to pay some insurance if it's over $50 in value? Or do you just put that into your price and go ahead and pay it yourself? Just curious what you do there. Thanks for your podcast. It's awesome. You guys are very relaxed. I feel like we've gotten to know you, and I've been listening like 3 or 4 months. So great job. Thanks for answering the question. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Okay, so if you're selling something for $300 or $400, you need to put a handling charge on. And that handling charge is going to be for the extra insurance that you're about to buy from ShipSaver. That's how I do it. If I'm selling a lamp for $200, ShipSaver has a list of prices. Okay, you need $200 to $250 of insurance on this item because you'll insure for the shipping price too. It'll be X amount of dollars, $350 or something. So put a handling charge of $350, $4 on it, and you shouldn't have to pay for insurance. If you don't have free shipping, your customer should pay for shipping and insurance. That's why it's called shipping and handling.
And this is also something that we've had to learn because, we felt that way like, we're already charging for the item and then shipping's expensive and then the insurance. I mean, are they going to pay it? But really, if you're selling a really nice item, the buyer is normally a sophisticated buyer, and they understand, if they buy a nice lamp from us, it's not going to cost $10 to ship. It's going to cost $50 to ship. Right. And we also add a handling charge to help us pay for bubble wrap.
Shipping and the time.
Sometimes it's a special box we have to buy,
Yeah.
And if a buyer complains about that, they're amateurs, and we just don't sell to them. We just say, the price is the price. We aren't making any money off of this, and good luck finding someone else to do this,
Exactly. So that's our answer. Next question.
Okay, so we have a question by email, and it's Rosanna, and she asks, do we have seasonal items like Christmas or Valentine's Day in our store? And do we keep them in our store regardless if they don't sell, or do we take them down when it's not in season and then put them back up?
Right.
We get this question a lot.
Yeah.
Number one, we don't really specialize in any of that stuff, so we don't have like a whole Christmas section or Valentine's section.
We do have some Valentine's, Christmas, Halloween.
But we really list it and forget it. So like
put it up.
Our winter stuff, stays up all year long. If there's Christmas stuff, it's in there all year long. I mean, and that stuff sells. You'd be surprised in the middle of summertime, people are buying coats and sweaters.
Yeah.
Not only, I mean, in America, which is kind of weird, but then you have to think Australians are buying coats when it's our summertime because it's cold.
It's summer there now. It's Christmas.
And also it's with like specifically like Christmas stuff. I mean, some people
they just collect it all the time.
Buy that stuff year round, collect
totally.
stuff. I think if I were to be one of those sellers where I'm specializing, like I'm a Christmas store person, I don't know if I would put up, 10,000 items of Christmas stuff all year long. But, for us, it's like 5-10 items. I mean, it's not worth it for us for the brain space to like take it down and then try to remember to put it back up when those times comes.
No, we don't do that with any item. We list it and forget it until it sells.
Exactly.
Hey, this is Debbie in Michigan, and first I'd like to thank you guys for your podcast. I really enjoy it. I have been interested in doing this bonanza, but there's not a lot of tutoring on YouTube, which is where I learn everything. So what I'd like you to talk about is importing a store. I know you have to cancel one or the other, or is it both when something sells? And what about the daily things? If I import in eBay, how do I get it? Do I just have to keep importing new every day and do things double? What about shipping? Is it exactly the same as eBay? And also, maybe one of your interviews you could do, there's a guy on YouTube that has done 2 or 3 of them that would be good. So, talk to you later. Thank you.
Okay, so with Bonanza, the beautiful thing about Bonanza is you can import your whole store, like we've said. And it refreshes itself, I don't know, maybe several times a day. So when you sell something on eBay or you list something on eBay, it's going to show up on Bonanza. The only thing is, if you sell something on Bonanza, make sure you end it on eBay, because eBay is not going to sync with Bonanza. Bonanza syncs with your eBay. You don't have to think about Bonanza. It's syncing. But eBay is its own entity. So just make sure you end the listings. And that's it.
Yeah, and also, as Chris the Coin Guy said, because he's the one that started all this. We're all on that site because of him.
Right.
It really only seems to work if you have a lot of items, like over 500 items.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we have 3,500 items, and we're lucky if we sell 10 items on the site a month.
Yeah,
I think if you only have like 40 items or 100 items, I don't think you're going to get a lot of hits.
Right.
But, hey,
you can try.
It's easy, it's free.
Just Google it. I mean, look on Bonanza and Google it, how to import your store. I was able to do it through Google. I just looked and found some instructions and did it. Okay, our next voicemail message.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, this is Mr. Dino Dump. So I got a question for you guys. What is the deal with this whole eBay collections thing? Every time I listen to eBay radio, they act like it's going to be the future of eBay, and it just seems kind of like their half-ass attempt to, I don't know, deal with the curatorial power of Etsy. But, I mean, do you guys mess with it? Do you think it has any advantage in terms of increasing sales? Thanks for taking my question.
Are they talking about just like putting stuff into collections? Like, here are all my favorite?
Yeah, I mean, I think this came out about a year ago, and I looked into it. It's basically, I think, what they're really feeling the pain from is Pinterest.
Yes, Pinterest. Yes, that's the competition.
Because people love to go, and they love to be a curator where they're like, look at all these, old lamps, and these are all the salt pepper shakers.
Yeah, it's like their version of Pinterest, basically.
And we looked at it, and I don't know. We instead got on Pinterest because that seemed to be more interesting.
Well, Pinterest, I just pin my stuff. I mean, I'm not like making collections, but I put it there so people can make collections.
Right, but don't you do like, these are all my wool sweaters and this is all my...
Yes.
Yes.
So I am kind of doing you're right, I am kind of making collections so other people can make collections from
and
those.
I just don't think that that's really caught on. I really think that people keep trying to make eBay tries to start making eBay into something it's not. eBay is just the largest flea market in the world. It's kind of ugly. It's kind of clunky, It's never going to be Etsy. It's not going to be Pinterest.
Right. It is what it is.
And people like it, and people go and buy there. And people go there because you can find anything. Right.
Yep, exactly. So that's our take.
Hey, you guys. This is Mike from USW, Mike Morrison. And it's really not a question, but it's a comment that is helpful to everybody. There's a lot more people that listen to your blog or listen to your podcast than look at your blog. And my comment is very simple. If you're having problems with your pictures uploading in the system and giving you error messages, change the name of your picture. It's just that simple. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. See you later. Take care. Bye.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So Mike from USW, who comments on the blog, he said if you're having trouble uploading, because often I'll upload and I'll get an error, but I don't change the name of it. I just try again and then it works. So I'm not sure why eBay will be like, this photo is not cannot be used, and then you try again and it works.
But that's interesting,
Yeah.
If that's true, that's a good tip.
That's a good tip. Thank you, Mike.
Hey, Scavenger Life guys, Beach Thrifter here. I have a question, but first I just wanted to say thanks for the shout out on your podcast this week, and thanks for all the wonderful info you provide. I've really learned a lot from you and really appreciate it. So my question is about storage. I've heard you mention that you have plenty of storage and that you categorize items by material, but it seems like you have several different outbuildings to keep all your inventory in. Can you just clarify that for me and what your system's like for a store that has so many items? Thanks. Bye.
Cool. So this is Beach, a thrifter who lives in our state, and she's the one that actually she has a blog as well, and she was blogging about how people in Tokyo deal with like trash.
Oh,
and junk
right.
like that.
Yeah. That is a really cool blog post.
Okay, so we've posted some photos. We've actually done a couple podcasts about how we organize our store. And look, I'm not sure if we're the people to learn from. I mean, you have to remember, we started out very small. We never thought we were going to grow into a big store. And it just kind of over time, we've had to develop ways to store our stuff. It's kind of like trying to change the engine of a plane while it's flying. You're just, we just kind of made it up as we
went
along.
We made it just make sense for us, and we've changed things as we went along. Like, okay, all these cooking utensils are all scattered; they need to be in one box.
Right. So that's basically how we do it. We have, as far as like hard goods, we have plastic containers that you should buy at like Walmart.
Right.
There was one time a sale where they're like $5 each, and then anytime we go to auctions,
we try to get those too.
Very often, the box lot it's with a plastic container, and then as we collect stuff, we're just like, okay, let's start putting kitchen stuff in this one,
right?
And let's start putting like small metal objects in that one.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty much how we categorize it. Like, if you looked at an object in my store, I could pretty much tell you where it would be.
It's either in one or two boxes.
One or two. And if it's not in those, you're like, okay, what were we thinking?
Right. And we'll end up like, we're suddenly starting to have a lot of sports like stuff. Let's make a new
bin
category
sports.
for that.
Yeah, exactly. That's happened a lot recently.
But then as far as like clothes goes, we've talked about, we actually have an actual a room that's climate controlled, and we actually built these like really awesome like
clothes hanger bins
that hold shoes underneath.
Yeah.
But the other stuff is we'll just have like an outbuilding.
Yeah.
We'll put them in there. The weather doesn't affect it. I mean, it stays dry, but cold or heat won't affect it. I mean, the other thing is we've moved once during our store, and I can remember that we had to move everything.
Yeah.
And our store was still pretty big, about 1,200 items. We had to move
it was large.
Everything into basically a construction zone.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was fun.
But other sellers, and hopefully they'll jump in the comments here, I think, have maybe thought about it earlier when they were starting their store and started a really smart inventory. a system. You know, some people bag up their clothes. Some people put their stuff in boxes
that are ready to ship before. I couldn't do that. But also the other thing that we joke about is, you know, if we needed someone else to ship for us, it would be next to impossible because we know, you know, where stuff is located. You know, it's just so specialized.
Right. You know, and some people say, well, why don't you, when you list an item, put like a special code somewhere so when it sells, you know, it's like in B6XY, you know, and then that tells you.
Right.
Again, I think if we had like a warehouse and you could have a coding, a system like that, like they have at Lowe's or IKEA, maybe, but...
Although I will say we do categorize some things like that, like fabric. Everything has numbers, and all that fabric goes into numbered bins.
True.
So it is a coded system like that. But for hard goods, it's not like that.
The good news is it works for us. We normally find everything within a minute of starting.
Under max under 5 minutes.
We'll it was only, I mean, again, we've been selling since 2008. I think we only haven't been able to find, I think, 4 or 5 things now.
Yeah, just a tiny
It's one of them just happened, a scarf.
That scarf.
But other than that, we find things. I mean, if we were having problems finding things, we would have to change our system. And that's what has happened over these years is that we'll start having problems finding things, and we'll have to rethink how things are organized.
Right, and we'll, like I said, we'll do that throughout. If I start finding little, you know, utensils in a different bin, I'm like, look, this has to go in a utensils box because they're getting scattered. You know, they're with the kitchen stuff, they're with the metal stuff. They just need their own box because we have so much of them. So that's how we kind of evolve on that.
Hey, Ryan and Jay, I love you guys. Love the service that you provide. It has helped tremendously. I have a question, though. I'm a eBay seller that has about 200 items, and I'm working towards getting 500 and then 1,000. So my problem is I am not the best organizer, and I just would like you to give any points or hints or anything you can on how you organize your items and store them and all that. I can handle what I have. I can probably handle another 100, but then I think it's going to get a little tricky. So appreciate everything you do for us, and can't wait to hear an answer before I get to my next 100. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye, guys. Have a great holiday.
So, I mean, you have to start organizing. Once it's past 100, 200, that's when you know you're a real eBayer because you have to organize.
Can we put this right after the other
I
one?
can switch them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That was...
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like, this is the question you need to start asking it yourself. Like, once you get to about 100 items, you know, everything kind of fits in a little small area. After 100 items, it's just becoming
cluttered.
Yeah, you're like, you know, how do I fit more than 20 shirts here, you know? I mean, and that's just where we each have to determine a system that works for us, because all of us it's different. Some people live in like small urban apartments where they might not even have an extra bedroom. They're just working out of a closet. Yep. It's like it's with a friend right now who's in LA, and he's starting an eBay store after seeing what we do, and I chat with him, and you know, I know he has 2 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. Tiny. Yeah. And I think it's working out of a small
closet. If that. I mean, he's just working out of the corner of a room.
So it's for him, you know, he's thinking, well, maybe I need to get a storage.
Like a storage unit.
And that's what I see a lot of people, you know, again, all the YouTube videos where people are like inside of the storage units, you know.
But no, I mean, you have to ask yourself, like, am I ramping up? This is a business expense. Right. I have to be able to run my business.
Am I willing to spend $100 to $200 a month, a rental,
or
a storage unit?
If you're in a suburban area, do you have a shed outside? Can you build a shed outside?
You know, a basement, attic, garage, you know.
Something that's going to work.
Take over an extra bedroom, you know. It's like all these things, you know. And then there's it's a question like, you know, I could keep it all right here, but then I live in my eBay inventory. Do I want the kind of life, you know, where that happens? I mean, these are all really good questions, you know. And then it's like, do I want to keep selling clothes? Is maybe I don't have enough room for clothes? Is maybe I just focus on small jewelry, or you know?
Yeah, you have to just make a decision. Sorry, I just always paranoid it's not recording.
Yeah. And you know, I think that's why too. Some people like they rent spaces at antique malls because it's kind of like their storage place. And then maybe they might sell some, but it's really a storage place.
It is like storage.
Because really, the only people that make its money in antique mall is the person that runs the antique mall. So,
off of rent, basically.
So I hope that helps.
Hello, Jay and Ryan. This is Greg. Jay, you and I have talked by email a couple of times. I sent you some info like for Silicon Valley yard sales like a couple of weeks ago or something like that. Anyway, I don't know what the time limit is on this, and I hope I don't run it out. But I'll try to be as brief as possible. It's a question and a story. And the question is sort of like, it might be fun to ask folks, like, what is the weirdest stuff that has happened to you on eBay in terms of shipping or just in general, a general story? So this is my story, and I have like another half question after it. So I'm living on the West Coast now. My partner lives on the East Coast. And every night we talk on the phone to ship out the stuff in the day, and we talk about it, and any questions, answer things like that, and we get through the shipping. So she called me I called her this past weekend, and I had sold a few things over the weekend, and we always kind of talk through it. And I said, "Oh, where's this one going?" She's like, "Oh, it's going to this state." And I said, "Hey, okay, yeah. Is it going to this town?" She said, "Yeah, it is going to that town." And I said, "Oh, okay. I bet it's not going to this street." She said, "Yeah, it's going to that street actually." And I said, "Is it this address?" And it was just like silence for a second. And she said, how did you know the address? And I was like, "You're kidding. That's not the address." She's like, "Nope, that's the address it's going to." So what happened was, apparently someone who lived in a house that I lived in 20 years ago bought stuff from me on eBay. And it was just, it's the kind of thing like, it doesn't sound that weird, but it's kind of weird. I was looking up on USPS, like how many deliverable addresses are there in the U.S., and I think it's like 153 million, so it was just strange. And I thought, well, maybe it's like some kind of like scam or some kind of identity theft thing, but I thought about it, like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would somebody with a perfectly valid eBay account just order something from me to get my address? It didn't make any sense at all. So that's the long and short story there, is that somebody ordered stuff in a house I used to live in 20 years ago in the U.S., thousands or 1,500 miles away from where I live now. So very weird, I thought. Has that ever happened to anyone? Have they ever sold to somebody who lives in a place where they used to live? And if not, kind of what's the strangest thing that's happened to them shipping-wise, I guess is one way to frame the question. So yeah, that was a good 2 minutes of blabbering. Hopefully we didn't get cut off. Great job with the show. I'm looking forward to catching up with it and eBay and everything else when I finally get back to the East Coast. Thanks, guys. Bye.
So that is super weird.
Isn't that weird?
And I don't think it's a scam. But my question is, did you contact that person? Like, I've had people buy stuff from the neighborhood I'm from in Boston, and I'll shout out to them like, "Hey, I'm from, such and such street." And they're like, "Yeah, you should write to them, be like, that was my house as a kid, you know?"
I think it's one of those things where that's a 1 in a million billion kind of thing.
That is yes.
Yeah. I think it would be interesting to write and say, although it might be a little creepy, like,
yeah, but
I know where you live. I used to live there.
Yeah, but I don't think that's creepy. I think the person would be like, that is crazy. Are you, such and such's kid, Like, I don't know if they would still, nobody knows me from my hometown anymore, but one of the weirder things is when someone we know buys something from us, like by accident.
Has that happened to?
Okay, so one of our friends from New York has a pretty distinctive last name, and his sister bought a pair of shoes from us in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I wrote to her, and she's into like filmmaking, so we were like, it has to be so and so's sister.
Right.
So I wrote to her. We just wrote to her. We were like, "Are you so and so's sister?" Because we're friends with him, but we just moved to Virginia. And she's like, "Yes, that is. Yes, I know who you are. That's so weird." And then the other weird thing is just when people see us on eBay who know us because they're like shopping for a jacket.
I've had a couple people
from our past
message us to be like, "Hey,
like from college,
remember me?" Like,
yeah, like I was buying a jacket and
look at you.
I knew who it was.
Yeah.
So that happens. That's happened a few times. But if someone in my childhood, one of my childhood houses, bought something, I would definitely reach out to them and be like, I grew up in this house. That is so weird.
Right. Is the ghost still there?
Does the ghost still?
The bloody ghost.
I'll tell you where we buried the dog in the backyard. No, I'm just kidding.
Is that true?
We didn't have a dog.
Oh, okay.
TGIF, Jay and Ryan, it's Mama Jules. Question: how do you keep track of your sales and names and lists of customers, or do you? I have a spreadsheet, and I'm thinking there may be an easier way, just in case I ever need it for the future. Any suggestions? Thanks.
So I don't keep a spreadsheet. I just keep every email that's ever been mailed to me.
Yeah, I mean, I had a friend when we first started doing this, and he's kind of like a marketing business guy, and he's like, you need to keep every email and contact info of everyone you sell things to. So if you ever wanted to start your own store, or you could, in a sense, kind of spam everyone with like, it's your sales, and because, his idea is, and I think a lot of business people think like this, once they're a customer, they need to always be a customer.
Right.
And if they buy one thing from you, they should be buying something from you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe,
I hate that stuff.
Like I say, sometimes I think maybe we're just bad business people. I feel like on eBay, most times people buy from us one time, and that's all they'll ever buy from us.
Yeah.
Because they happen to want a certain thing. They did a search. They found us, and there you go. Done deal. We don't sell, like, ink cartridges.
Right.
We don't sell things that people need again and again and again.
Right.
Because we have people like that on eBay where we buy the same thing every 4 or 5 months.
Right.
We'll
supplies or whatever.
They're our go-to people.
Yeah.
But these are also, really small amount, items.
And when people have sent me those like newsletter or that I haven't signed up for,
right.
I think that's super annoying. I'm like, I didn't sign up for this. I don't want your marketing crap. So, I mean, for us, there's just no reason to keep track of that stuff. I have it all in my email. If I recognize a username and want to see, oh, they're really into buying this thing,
right.
I'll look them up and see if that's what they bought.
I mean, I think too, it's something about building up a reputation over time. Every month we have about 2 to 4 people who buy from us again.
Right.
And
it's small.
And I think that just happens just because, they're searching for something else. In my imagination, I imagine they see our item and they're like,
I recognize that.
Recognize the store name. I had a good experience. Right. I'll go ahead and buy it from again. I didn't seek them out.
Right.
But I remember they were good.
Yeah.
And so I trust them again.
Right. And
that's what we hope.
Yeah.
Hey, Jay and Ryan. My name's Justin, and I'm calling from Orlando, Florida. First off, I want to say I love what you guys do. I love the podcast. I've listened to every single one, and I love you guys' blog. Can't get enough of it. Listen, I had a quick question for you guys, and it may be something that you want to share. It may not be. I don't know, but I figured I'd ask. I was wondering, on my solar dashboard, it shows me a total cost of everything I have listed active in my store, kind of like cost of total inventory. And I'm just starting kind of out on eBay, trying to bridge the gap in between the job I'm working now that I kind of hate to doing eBay full time. I'm small potatoes compared to you guys. I've only got about 350 items, but on my solar dashboard it says I have about $20,000 worth of inventory. I was wondering if you guys were willing to share what you guys have, as a total cost of inventory in your store. I love how you guys share all of your numbers, and trying to give weekly updates on how much you guys have sold and your average cost of goods. It really makes it real and applicable to somebody who's trying to, you know, do it as well as their full-time career. And I haven't made the jump yet, but I'm just trying to see if you guys have any recommendations or any, maybe if there was a magic number or a certain level of when you guys hit, you know, in your store, either total items or, you know, total cost of inventory, when you really thought you guys could do it full time. I appreciate any words of insight, and I love everything you guys do. Thanks so much. Bye.
So I wish that there was a part of eBay where you could see how much are every item I have, how much would that be worth if I sold it all for full price. I don't know where that is. If it's there, I'd love to know. But what I understand is if you go to active, and if you scroll down, you can search by 200 at a time. So like I'm looking at a page and it's like $12,000.
Right.
You know,
and we have 18 pages.
And we have 18 pages, but then some pages are worth, let's look, hang on. But then we have another page that's $30,000 for those 200 items. So I don't know. Why don't you say it's an average of $20,000
a page,
and we have 18 pages? I mean, that's almost $400,000. I mean, but that's all fantasy because, you know, we often take best offers, that kind of thing.
I never look at numbers like that. Those numbers to me are just not a real number.
Yeah, I don't think any business would base it on that kind of like potential income, because I think any business, they do sales, they have lost inventory, you know,
they don't sell as much one month as they should.
But I think the question you're asking is correct in the sense of, you know, what's its measurement I go by to see when I should feel comfortable enough to quit my job. And that is what you make every month.
Right.
You know? So I think it was for us, I mean, when we, like 4 months in a row, we had made over $2,000 net profit, like profit in our pocket. We started saying like, that kind of paid for almost all of our bills.
Yep.
Like 4 months in a row, this feels like a real business, you know?
Right.
And if we just put in a little bit more time, we can then grow, you know?
Yeah. So it's like the numbers, as Jay always says, have to make sense and monetarily. But, you know, 350 items is a great start. That's a lot of stuff. You just have to keep on listing, you know?
You know what, too? Sometimes I feel kind of bad that people write us thinking they act like we know what we're doing. I mean, it seems to work for us, but there are people that post to our blog that have a third of our inventory.
And make just as much as
1,200 items, and they often, every week, make as much as us or more. Just because they're even better scavengers finding, you know, they're have a less items, but every item they do have is higher quality, or they just sell a lot more than we do. Like even though they have less items, they sell more items every week than we do. So it's really the quality of the scavenger that that you become, you know?
Exactly.
Because if you have 350 items, but they're all $5 items, I mean, you're never going to do a business like that.
Exactly.
You know?
Hi, Scavenger Life. I don't have a question. I just want to tell you how much I enjoy your podcast. It's a highlight of my day whenever you put one out. It's really wonderful and appreciated. I'm an 81-year-old seller on eBay and Amazon. Been on eBay since 1999. Now I'm mostly on Amazon and have been since probably 2005. I'm grandfathered in for daily payouts, so it tells you how long I've been on Amazon. Sell mostly books and almost everything FBA. Anyway, the bottom line is I just really love your broadcast. You just do such a nice job, and I think it's time to tell you that. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. And Merry Christmas.
That is a perfect way to end this podcast.
Yeah, and I think that's a good example of why we thought we'd do this experiment with people with real people calling in and leaving its messages. I mean, I just think that goes to show that, you know, all of us eBay sellers, we're all just at home making a living. And I love guys like this. He's been selling online for so long.
Yeah.
It's before I even thought about doing this. He was already an experienced guy doing it, you know.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah. So cool.
So remember, you can call in. The number is 540-407-8486. It's also on the sidebar of the blog. Feel free to leave a comment, ask a question.
And you can ask anything, but we would also like to hear from anyone who has specific ideas or plans or experiments they're going to try in 2015. You know?
Yes.
Knowing what you now know from 2014, what are you going to try differently to either make your life easier, make some more money, you know,
anything,
or make your life less difficult, you know, one of those things.
You're like, make your life easier, make your life less difficult.
Those are two different things, you know?
Yep.
So,
well, we hope you guys have a good holiday, a good New Year's, and
this podcast is ending in 3, 2, 1. Bye.